A look now at an iconic car that has a huge following. Car tester Christoph Bauer is out and about in a Volkswagen Beetle Convertible, exploring the mountain plateau of Lavarone in Italy. The Beetle Cabriolet was manufactured right up until 1980. It was first designed back before the Second World War. Christoph says these days the convertible is the epitome of freedom and independence. But in the 1930s, things were different. Those who could afford it bought a hardtop sedan, preferably with a chauffeur. There were always soft tops, but they tended to be very basic and quite a bit cheaper. So the Beetle, which was always intended as a car for the masses, obviously planned to have a convertible right from the start. The first prototype for the soft-top Beetle was built in 1936, although series production would not follow for many years. After the war, it was the hardtop models of the first Volkswagen that rolled off the assembly lines in Wolfsburg. In 1949, finally, the Beetle Cabriolet took to the road. And many were keen to get in on the action. Like the first 60 VW sedans, the pre-war soft-top prototype was built in the garage of Ferdinand Porsche's villa in Stuttgart. The Beetle Cabriolet was always based on the most expensive and powerful version of the Beetle sedan that was currently available. This model from 1979, for example, has the 1.6-liter engine from the VW 1303S, which was first manufactured in 1972 and was the most powerful Beetle engine ever to go into series production. It goes from 0 to 100 kilometers in 20 seconds. Yeah, nothing to get excited about there, but focusing on power and speed was always a taboo for VW. Their priority was reliability. That's a shame. A little more power would certainly suit the 1303 convertible. The 1979 Super Beetle, as it's known, had the best Beetle suspension of all time, distinguished by a coil spring and strut front suspension. This car that is more than 40 years old and with a pre-war design takes bends with astonishing and astounding ease. Christoph says the handling of the VW Beetle is very special. The steering is unbelievably responsive, effortless. Because the engine is at the back, it powers the rear axles and the wheels directly, providing endless traction. As Porsche fans know, this design setup can actually handle a lot more horsepower. In fact, the Porsche 924 that was designed together with VW drew on the Beetle design. Now that has to be the ultimate accolade for the Beetle suspension. The modern chassis that was introduced to the VW 1302 in 1970 allows for more space in the trunk, thanks to the longer front. From 1972, the 1303 came with a taller, curved windshield to comply with U.S. law, which required a greater distance between the driver and the windscreen. The modern-style padded dashboard was another concession to passive safety. At the rear, an air-cooled 1.6-liter Boxer engine provides 50 horsepower. The exterior of the 1303 convertible reveals little technical progress. There are a few details, like the chunky taillights, that earned the nickname elephant's feet. But otherwise, the basic shape of the VW Beetle hardly changed in 30 years of production. But in the interior, there were big changes introduced in the 1970s. Plastic everywhere. In those days, that was state-of-the-art, of course, but today, you'd love to just have a little chrome here and there instead. But the robust soft-top design was retained. The roof can be shut in a few simple steps, keeping out that summer rain. Simple and practical. Right from the start, the soft-top version of the Beetle cost around 1/3 more than the sedan. Still, sales for the Cabriolet boomed for over 3 decades. Christoph says four-seater convertibles have a long-standing tradition in automotive history. But in the 1970s, they were a dying breed, with just two models left: the VW Cabriolet, which sold for 14,000 Deutschmarks, and the Rolls-Royce Corniche convertible for 180,000 Deutschmarks. So you can guess which model ensured the four-seater convertible survived. Rolls-Royce sold 3,000 cars in total, while VW sold 20,000 convertibles a year. After more than 20 years of production, the Beetle Cabriolet finally reached its zenith in the 1303. Robust, reliable, equipped with a modern suspension, and capable of a top speed of 130 kilometers per hour, and yet the Beetle's days were numbered. For years, the soft-top Beetle was considered the world's best-selling convertible. During 31 years of production, over 330,000 vehicles rolled off the assembly lines. Only in 1991 was it overtaken by the VW Golf. When it was announced in 1978 that production of the Beetle Cabriolet was to end, fans stormed the VW dealers to snap up the last remaining cars, which is pretty rare in the fast-moving automotive industry. So the VW convertible is definitely a milestone in automotive history. Driving with the wind in your hair, the Beetle Cabriolet proved convertibles don't have to be an unaffordable luxury, and in so doing has guaranteed that the soft top lives on.